Good morning, Coastal. I don't know if you ever get to this place, but sometimes I feel like God just can't hear me. I actually really struggle. Praying is not one of my strong suits. I struggle to pray through. Either my thoughts are all over the place or I just can't find the words. And so sometimes I wonder if God's even listening. And I found this verse where the Lord is talking to King Josiah and he's saying, I have heard you. And there are these because statements or these if statements that happen right before the Lord tells Josiah, I have heard you. I've heard what you've said. And I want to read them to you because I think that they create this beautiful if then. If we do this, then God will hear us. And so it says, because your heart was responsive, right? And so I looked at this word responsive and it means tender or soft and weak. And it kind of makes me think of the word moldable. It makes me think of butter coming out of the fridge is so hardened that you have to wait for it to kind of get to room temperature to mold it to whatever to go on your toast, right? And so I think of our hearts that same way, that our hearts have to be moldable as we go into the Lord's presence. Meaning that if God convicts us of something, that we're going to be okay with whichever thing he asks us to do. He says, because you humbled yourself, because you tore your robes, which in this time was just this huge sign of strong emotion. It could have been shame, anger, or mourning. It's this emotion of a broken heart. And I love what this says. It says, it was a sign to show that whatever has happened was so important that the considerations of status and respect were to be put aside. And so a lot of times back then, the robes or the clothes that they would wear would show status or respect. And so by tearing them, it was saying that these right now do not matter. And the last thing it says, because you wept in my presence. And I just think about when was the last time that I allowed some of these authentic emotions to just come out in my prayer time? A lot of times I'm just praying for stuff and it's like this and this and this and God, I hope I have a great day. And it's so surface and God's like, man, I just want to hear you. I want to hear you. I want to hear the things that you are going through. Let me into those spaces. Let me into that place. And it says, because of all these things that the Lord heard Josiah. And so maybe I just want to challenge. I was super challenged by this whole thing of just, man, is my heart responsive? Have I humbled myself before I go into my prayers? Am I tearing my clothes? Am I putting aside everything else that's going on? Am I putting aside everything else in life? And then have I just wept in his presence? Have I just stayed and remained in his presence? And a song played during morning prayer this morning, and it was called I Will Wait by David Leonard. And I loved it because this line stood out to me. It says, I'm reminded from where you've brought me and where you've placed me for today, and I won't forget that your hand will hold me. Your love sustains me through the wait. I will wait on you, Lord. And so I just wanted to challenge, this challenged me first. I just want to challenge you guys with our morning prayers. If you feel like God's not hearing you, is your heart responsive? Have you humbled yourself? And have you torn your robes, set aside things, and have you wept in his presence? I hope you guys have an incredible day today, and I'll see you back tomorrow.